Aphios Corporation stands out on World Health Day 2024, showcasing its revolutionary approach to healthcare through the fusion of green biotechnology and advanced scientific research under the leadership of Dr. Trevor P. Castor. Since its foundation in 1993, the company has been at the forefront of addressing critical health challenges, ranging from cancer, infectious diseases like HIV and COVID-19, to complex central nervous system disorders. Its significant contributions include the development of Zindol for chemotherapy-induced nausea, and innovative nanotechnology platforms that promise to revolutionize drug delivery and safety. Their pioneering efforts extend to combating chronic opioid use disorder and advancing pathogen reduction technologies crucial for patients with blood disorders reliant on treatments like immunoglobulins. This broad spectrum of initiatives underlines Aphios' commitment to improving patient care and safety across various medical conditions, illustrating a holistic approach to healthcare innovation. As we observe World Health Day, Aphios Corporation's role in marrying natural mechanisms with cutting-edge scientific innovation highlights a future where healthcare is not only sustainable, but significantly advanced. With ongoing developments and clinical applications, Aphios is at the brink of transforming the healthcare landscape, embodying the spirit of global health improvement and paving the way for safer, more effective treatments across a diverse range of diseases. Dr. Trevor P. Castor joins us today to tell us more. What is green biotechnology, and how do you see it revolutionizing healthcare in the coming years?
Well, green biotechnology is basically a combination of two technologies that we've merged and married. One is non-synthetic chemistry. That means not utilizing organic solvents from the fossil fuel industry that can contribute to greenhouse gases and environmental contamination and climate control issues. And then secondly, looking to nature for solutions for present needs in our health care. So we do have a symbiotic relation with nature in terms of plants, for example. And we look at plants where they live for thousands of years, learning how to manage DNA replication without mutation. And this is a big problem with cancer. That one of the big issues. And then how do we see, for example, from the ocean, where we can see species like sharks, which can live 500, 600 years, that can manage aging. And Alzheimer's disease is a good reflection of how we can marry those two aspects together. And then, of course, there's the immortal jellyfish. So nature can contribute a lot to our health and environment at the same time in terms of managing disease and climate control. Climate control, for example, issues can release a number of different pathogens that can significantly impact human health. And of course, if you look back historically, the great influenza pandemic of 1918 that came from nature, the 60s, the 80s, the HIV pandemic, and of course, more recently, the COVID-19, all of natural origin. So we can manage these viruses and pathogens in such a way that we reduce the risk of transfusion or transmission, utilizing enabling technologies to improve treatments of blood plasma and biologics. We can basically help to manage healthcare. Healthcare is really about health maintenance, the treatment of diseases and the prevention of diseases. And we go through all those aspects in terms of what we do in our therapeutic entries into the marketplace. For example, cancer patients suffer from chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting, CNIV, which is created by an unbalance between the mind and the stomach where the mind is telling the stomach, or the stomach's telling the mind, it goes both ways through receptors, serotonin receptors, that there's something in the stomach and you've got to get rid of it. And it creates nausea, which is very destabilizing for cancer patients, especially for children undergoing cancer treatment. We've developed a therapy for treating nausea and vomiting in cancer patients based on ginger. It's going back to the Asian spice, which has been utilized for thousands of years in Asia and the Middle East and in Europe. And it helps with addressing issues with stomach issues. What we've done is utilize solvent-free, green-enabling technology platforms to isolate the active ingredients to make a stable formulation of the active ingredients of ginger that can help cancer patients. We've done so with 644 cancer patients with high efficacy and much improved treatment versus synthetic 5-HT3 serotonin antagonist and NK1 antagonist for the treatment of nausea and vomiting. And this product also has an impact on pregnancy-related nausea and vomiting and hyperemesis. In the first trimester, again, there's a correlation between the mind and the stomach where this is a new object. Should we get rid of it? And the pregnancy occurs through nausea and vomiting that can imbalance and can create a nutrient issue. And a number of the treatments today in the marketplace, like Zofran, has black box FDA warnings because we're concerned about potentially damaging the fetus. Turns out that our product is quite effective in this case, and it's a natural product with lower side effects. And it's also effective in terms of issues like medication-related nausea and vomiting. Patients who are on GLP-1 anti-obesity antagonist drugs have a significant issue with nausea. And of course, there's a compliance issue that if you have nausea, why would you take a drug? So compliance issues are adjusted and the patients are managed. So this is the way that green biotechnology can impact our current healthcare system in terms of both quality of life and health maintenance.
Fantastic. Thank you. That was a very extensive and detailed answer. So, two different areas that I'd like to focus in on. So, firstly, how does your nanotechnology platform intend to address the relapse in chronic opioid use disorder? I mean, that's the major issue, isn't it? That sort of underlying need. Even if somebody gets clean of opioids, relapse is a very real possibility, a very likely possibility. So how does your technology intend to address relapse in the control of this particular disorder?
So again, here, well, we have to go back in the marriage between nanotechnology and nature. We look at our natural endocannabinoid system, but if there's an unbalance in our endocannabinoid system, that we have certain both physical and mental issues. If those internal endocannabinoid system are unbalanced, they can be rebalanced by utilizing the external cannabinoids, such as coming from cannabis or marijuana, which is part of nature. And the cannabidiol, which is an ingredient, a non-psychoactive, non-opioid addictive component of marijuana, has a propensity to attach to the mu opioid receptors and can be utilized to satisfy these receptors and to prevent relapse. But in order to do that over a sustained period of time, we have engaged nanotechnology to basically encapsulate these cannabinoids and bring them into the body and keep them into the body longer. As the shell on the capsule degrades, the nanoparticle degrades, it releases the active ingredient to attach to the receptors. And so this is a quite different approach than just taking a hit cigarette, marijuana joint, where it dissipates very quickly. It's not sustained in the body, or taking a gummy, which just goes through the body because cannabinoids are very hydrophobic. They're very oily. and they get out of the body very quickly. But what we do is utilize nanoparticles to deliver these drugs more effectively to the central nervous system and to manage their connection to the opioid receptors, mu and delta opioid receptors, and therefore help sustain the satisfaction and prevent relapse.
Outstanding. Excellent answer. And yeah, I mean, you covered it off with your second excellent answer, but I mean, if you could zero in on Zindol a little bit more and its specific applications, that'd be really helpful.
Well, the mentioned Zindol is can be utilized for any sort of treatments where there is imbalance between the serotonin receptors in the brain and the stomach, and therefore can be utilized for cancer patients. The way that we develop the therapy through clinical trials is that patients are provided with single capsules 3 times, twice a day, 3 days before chemotherapy, on the day of chemotherapy, and 3 times, twice a day, 3 days after chemotherapy for the management of symptoms related to CNIV chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. In patients who are, for example, who are pregnant, they can take that capsule maybe once a day in the morning to prevent morning sickness, or on a need-be basis for treatment. And similarly, for patients who are on medications that create nausea. I know, for example, that when I have taken antibiotic, I do get nauseated, so I will pop this in a capsule to help manage that nausea in terms of treatment. So the association of the feeling of trying to get rid of that, even on an empty stomach where you have those dry heaves to prevent dry heaves.
Fantastic answer. And I mean, the CFN process, firstly, what is it and what are its key advantages and benefits?
Well, the CFN means critical fluid nanosomes, or small uniform liposomes. Liposomes are nanoparticles that are made up of materials which make up our cells, phosphatidylcholine and cholesterol. So they're very biosimilar with our bodies in terms of the biological makeup. So they can be utilized, for example, for crossing the blood-brain barrier and delivering drugs directly to the brain for treatment of Alzheimer's disease and other central nervous system disorders. They can also be, and we have utilized them for delivering anti-cancer agents so that they can prevent the body from being exposed to these agents, which can create systemic toxicities and can basically target the disease that they are treating. So it can get to the disease location without impacting the rest of the body. So they're functional for a number of different reasons. In HIV, what we do with the CFN nanoparticles is to co-encapsulate an agent which we've isolated from the marine sector, which will activate the latent HIV virus. And we have a second agent in the aqueous core, the CFN nanoparticle, that works by a different mechanism of action to do the same. And then we combine it with a therapeutic to clear the latent HIV once it becomes a prodrug. Now we allow it to basically target cells which may have a high propensity for latency, such as CD4 cells, with CCR5 receptors, the core receptors for HIV. So there's a lot of value in terms of nanoparticles, especially CFN nanoparticles, which are made by green superfluids technologies. They're made by not using organic solvents, so they're environmentally clean, leave no toxic residues in the nanoparticles, and also no direct environmental impact, negative environmental impact, which again can prevent climate change.
Excellent answer. And could you please tell us about your initiatives in pathogen reduction for human plasma products like immunoglobulin?
Well, the biologics, our blood is our most important biologic. So we have to protect it. Patients who are cancer patients and patients with blood disorders require transfusions and immunoglobulins that are associated with human plasma. But when we provide those therapeutics, we have to ensure that they are safe from adventitious viruses and pathogens. And we've developed a technology for removing adventitious viruses and pathogens that is purely physical. We basically give these particles to bends. We fill them up with a superfluid under pressure, release them, and they pop very much like a balloon and become inactive without damaging the underlying proteins that they're designed to protect. And this differentiates itself from other technologies such as chemical, radiation, or heat, which damages some of the internal proteins and reduces the efficacy of the proteins that are utilized to treat patients with biological blood disorders and oncology patients.
For listeners who would like to find out more about the work of Aphios Corporation, please visit aphios.com. That's aphios.com. Dr. Trevor P. Castor, thank you so much for joining us today to honour World Health Day.